everyone, it's Kay Kalthoff, and this is a Stampin' Chat with Kay. It's a Facebook Live presentation. Thank you so much for joining me. I will certainly be putting this up on YouTube in a couple of days and on my blog as well. And so if you've missed the actual Stampin' Chat Live, never fear, there's plenty of ways to find this down the road. And I am excited to have so many of you joining me today. Actually, we only have 4 people joining me at the moment, but I know that will increase as we go on. We're going to use the stamp set today called Healing Hugs. And so I'll just chit-chat a little bit until we get a few more viewers. I do want to share with you that there is some bad news on the paper pumpkin front. Stampin' Up! Will not be taking new excuse me, I can't even say it. Stampin' Up! Will not be taking new subscriptions for the December paper pumpkin because it is so popular that they literally do not have enough paper pumpkins to pass out to new subscribers. And so that just goes to show you just how very popular paper pumpkin is. And I think especially during the holidays, it's so nice to get that kit in the mail and have everything at your fingertips that you need to create some cute 3D or some cute cards. And so again, that's a little bit sad news for those of you that maybe wanted to give paper pumpkin a whirl, but that doesn't mean you can't purchase subscriptions to give as gifts, because once December 10th is over, then we can go ahead and start subscribing to paper pumpkin for January. So that's good news. So you can still give it out as a gift. And so, hello everybody. I see we have lots joining me now. Thank you so much for coming in and watching this presentation about Healing Hugs. I'm going to make 3 cards today. The first card is going to be pure stamping on a note card. So nice and simple. I am going to add in some washi tape because we have some really cute washi tape in the holiday catalog and I hadn't used it yet, and so I was excited to get it out for this particular card. And then the second card that I'm going to make is a little bit stepped up. We're not actually using punches though. We're going to use a paper snip and just trim out some stamped images for our card. And then the third card that we're going to make uses lots of different things. We're going to be definitely using the Big Shot machine. And oh goodness, now it just occurred to me that I don't think I looked up the name of the folder that I'll be using. So just pretty please, maybe there'll be somebody out there who has their catalog handy. So when I get to that point in the video and can't tell you what folder I'm using, you'll be able to look it up for me and help me out. I am not that great at remembering product names. They kind of come and go in Stampin' Up! And so I have a hard time remembering what the names of these different products are. You've probably seen me fumble. In fact, sometimes I'll even call a paper, you know, maybe it's supposed to be Gorgeous Grape and I'll call it Lovely Lilac, just because I've been around so long with Stampin' Up! That I sort of get the names and the cardstock mixed up. So thank you again, everybody, for joining me. And I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll flip the camera down and I'll show you a card that I got in the mail over this past weekend. And then I'll show you the cards that we're going to make and the stamps that we're using, and then we'll get going. All right, we're getting pretty close here with what I need to do as far as getting everything set up for the video. Looks pretty good. So thank you again for joining me. It's nice to have you here. And the card that I'm going to share with you is one that was gifted to me by one of my good friends. She is also a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. She's not in my group, but she is a real sweetheart and has supported me in my Stampin' Up! Business now for many, many years. Her name is Sue McNeil. So hello, Sue, if you're watching today or if you're watching down the road. But this is one of the paper pumpkin cards from our November kit. And I'm thinking that this might be an alternative project. I'm not sure. Sometimes you can get those kits and follow them exactly. Other times you just go ahead and you just kind of create with what's in the kit and you don't really follow the directions. So when I share paper pumpkin projects, I like to do a little of both. I'll share with you some things that Stampin' Up! Recommends, and then I like to share a couple of things that I like to do on my own. Oh my goodness, somebody is telling me they're freezing in Iowa. Well, let me tell you, it's been cold in Minnesota too. They keep saying it's going to warm up, and then it never does. But, you know, that's kind of par for the course this time of year. Here is the stamp set that we're using today called Healing Hugs, and it is awesome. One of the things that I love about it is it's one of those stamp sets that are... oh no, I'm not going to be able to think of the name, but it's like almost looks like a picture when you stamp it, and there's a special name for it, and I can't remember what it's called. It's like ink something. Anyway, if any of you are, and it doesn't take much, I know there's a lot of people out there that are a lot smarter than me and have a much better memory than I do. If you can think of the name of what that exactly is called, I would think it'd be on the stamp set, but it's not. But I know it's in the catalog. But anyway, I'll hold it up to the camera here so you can see it. And it is really pretty. It almost looks like a picture versus just an image. And so I absolutely love it. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll show you the cards now that we're going to make. This is the card that uses the washi tape. And oh, and Deb just told me it's distinctive. That's what it's called. So when you see stamps from Stampin' Up! That are almost look like a photograph, it's called distinctive. So thank you, Deb. Thank you, Connie. It's so nice of you to help me out today. But here's the card that I'm making for the brand new stamper, or for maybe someone who just needs a really quick card. And actually, this is the card I'm going to be sending. I have a friend who's actually having open heart surgery today, and this gentleman is actually the dad to my daughter's boyfriend, and so we are keeping him deep in our prayers today. I lit a candle this morning, and every time I walk by it, it helps me remember to pray for him. And so this is actually the card that I'll be sending to him and putting in the mail tomorrow. But it is beautiful, don't you think? A nice, simple card. It's very masculine. And then it uses the beautiful washi tape that is in our holiday catalog, and it's called Sweet Season Specialty Washi Tape. So I'll just bring that out to show you what that looks like. And I think the reason they call it a specialty washi tape is because it has some foil on it. So it's really nice because the cherry cobbler has the yellow foil, and then we have the gold foil, and then some copper foil. And the one that I chose to use doesn't actually have foil on it, but it's green, and it's got all of these little pretty ferns on it. And when I think of healing, I think of green because you need some growth in the body to heal, and so that's what makes me think of green when I'm doing this card. So we're just keeping it to one simple stamp, or just a couple of simple stamps, and then one color. So this is the garden green. So thank you so much for those of you that are sharing the video already. I really appreciate it. Your name will go into a drawing, and I'll show you what you could win in just a couple minutes. But let me show you another card that we're going to make. This is a beautiful card that uses that distinctive image again, and this is the rose. And this is one of the cards we did at Fall Flair this year. It was extremely popular, and it uses the shimmery white doilies from Stampin' Up! And I'm also using shimmer paper. So I don't think this is going to show up in the video that I'm doing, but when I hold it up to the light and just kind of move it a little bit, there's all kinds of little sparkles through the rose and on this panel, and then also on the inside panel, because I really want this to be a step above of what maybe somebody would get normally for a Get Well card. And I love the shimmery white paper because of that. And of course, I'm stamping my envelopes also. So as you know, I'm getting ready to put into effect my New Year's resolution, which is to always stamp envelopes. Okay, and then the next card, this is kind of the MasterCard that we'll be making today because it uses the Big Shot machine. And here is where those of you with a catalog handy can help me out because I just can't remember the name of this folder. So I'm going to hold it up to the camera, and for those of you that have a catalog, please let me know what the name of this folder is. It's a floral image that is embossed onto the paper, and I'll try to hold it really still here, but it's so gorgeous. And when you put this rose right over the top of it like I did on this, it just, I don't know, it just enhances it so beautifully. And this is also that same shimmer paper that I used on the previous card, the shimmery white paper. And so I love it. And then my giveaway today, well, actually it'll be on Wednesday. My giveaway on Wednesday is going to be this Gorgeous Grape mini striped ribbon. So I'll give away 2 cards like this along with 2 yards of the Gorgeous Grape striped ribbon. Oh, Deb came to my rescue again. So the name of that embossing folder is called Lovely Floral. And so I'm excited to show you how to make this card. But let's, oh, and of course, I stamped my envelope again. These are really simple things to do. Stamp your envelope, but you'd be surprised how often I forget, like almost 100% of the time. But like I said, I'm trying to get that as my new habit, so I've been working on it. So this is the card that we're going to make first. So let me grab what we're going to use here. And I am going to be sharing that we are using very vanilla note cards and envelopes. And so I just have the number here because there's no measurements because this is already done for us. It is about a 3.5 by 5 inch card is about the size of it. And it works great. You can mail it. It's not too small to mail, so that's perfect. And it's scored, and then I went ahead and folded it. But I'm going to use my bone folder and just press it down so that we can make sure that the card is nice and stays nice and stable while we're working with it. There we go. So that's what it looks like. Then what we're going to do is we're going to grab some garden green ink, which I have right here. And maybe I should review how to get in the drawing. So you can get into the drawing by commenting. Let me know where you're from. I love seeing where you're all from. Maybe you want to share this video, and so you can do that on your timeline since this is a Facebook Live, and that's also lots of fun. And then sometimes we get some people who maybe have never stamped before interested in stamping, so that's always neat. So those are a couple of things that you can do to get in on the drawing. And like I said, I'll give away 2 yards of this really pretty Gorgeous Grape striped ribbon. Okay, so thank you already for the shares. You guys are awesome. And what we're going to do first is I'm going to stamp the sentiment. So the sentiment that we are looking for is this one here. It's called Sending You Healing Vibes. So I'm just going to ink that up with some garden green ink. And we're going to stamp this right here at the bottom. Well, not quite to the bottom, but pretty close to the bottom. So it looks like this. And then I'm going to take this really cool sort of little decorative piece that comes, it comes in Healing Hugs. And you know, I didn't even know it was there because it shows up so lightly on the front of the case that I didn't even realize it was part of this whole set until I started making this card and thought, wow, I need to do something else besides, you know, one sentiment and one little image. And then I found this little guy, and that was my inspiration because it sort of reminds me of washi tape. Now, it's not washi tape, but it kind of reminds me of that. Let me grab some paper here. All right, so then what I'm going to do is just stamp that, that image. There we go. So what I'm doing is I just stamp the image to the left of the sentiment that I put, and then we're going to go ahead and stamp a few more. So I'm going to stamp one just below like this, and then we're going to stamp one about right here, and then we're going to flip it over and stamp one at the top. So now we have all of our stamping done. That wasn't too hard. And the card looks pretty good like this, but we can make it look even better by the addition of washi tape. So I'd be interested to know how many of you use washi tape on a regular basis. If you do, give me a little thumbs up, and then maybe you can even share how you use it, because I do not use washi tape regularly. Well, actually I do. I use it on my bulletin board to put up like who owes me money, or maybe my to-do list for the day, because, you know, washi tape is kind of almost like scotch tape in a way, except it's a little nicer in that it doesn't permanently stick, so you can pull it up, or at least I can on the little bulletin board that I use. So what I did is I just took the washi tape now. Let me get this out of the way. I tore the end so it looks a little bit ragged. And what I'm trying to do now is just set this in so that it is straight across. And that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to flip it over and grab my Stampin' snips here, my paper snips, and I'll just cut it off. And that looks good. So there's the bottom portion. Then what we're going to do is tear this off again, because I like a little bit of a ragged edge. I think that looks nice. All right, so it looks like not a tremendous amount of you use washi on a regular basis. Oh my gosh, there's so many things you can do with washi. It's really quite remarkable. Just go to Pinterest sometime and type in washi and you'll get lots of ideas. All right, so now we're putting it up here, and that looks pretty good. And again, I'm just going to flip it over and trim it even with my scissors here, my paper snips. And once more, we're going to tear off that edge, and then we're going to finish this up right up here. And then our card is done. The trickiest part, I think, is just making sure that you have it straight. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job. All right, so then we'll trim this off. And as I mentioned, washi tape is a little bit forgiving in that sometimes you can pull it up, but once it's been burnished on, it will tear your paper if you try to pull it up. So to burnish it on, to make sure that it stays really good, I'm just going to take my bone folder, and I'm just going to go over the top of the washi, and that does a couple of things for you. It burnishes it on, and then it also keeps it so that the little edges don't start peeling up. And I think I need to trim this one edge a little bit better. There we go. All right, so our card is complete. Let me go ahead and see if I've got an envelope here that I can stamp. Oh my gosh, it's not quite complete. I almost forgot the little floral piece. So I have this pretty floral piece here, so let me bring this in. There's room for it, don't worry. I don't need to worry too much here. We're just gonna set this right here, right by Sending You Healing Vibes. Doesn't that look so much better? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost forgot that. Well, I remembered it because I needed to stamp that on my envelope. So here's my envelope. And again, we're just using garden green ink, and we're just gonna stamp that right here. So it's kind of nice to have something on the outside that coordinates with what's on the inside. All right, Susan is telling me that she uses washi tape to accent the bottom inside of a card, or to accent a colored cardstock accent. So I like that idea too, where you can use it on the inside panel, which I may have to do that, come to think of it. That's a really smart idea, Susan. Thank you. All right, so here it is. The first card is done. Now we're going to go ahead and move on and do our second card. So again, some of you that were at my event in October, you know that this card was one that we did, and it was pretty popular. Everybody really liked it. So let's go ahead and make it today. So what we're going to need, let me get it all out here for you. So now I've got lots of measurements. So for the base card, we're using Gorgeous Grape. which, as you can see, is a gorgeous color. And it's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and I've scored it at 5 1/2. Now I do use my Simply Scored to do all of my scoring, and I typically will score a full sheet at one time, and then I cut it in half after it's scored, because that way you only have to score once for 2 cards versus cutting the cardstock and then scoring, because then you'd have to score it twice. So there we go. That's my purpose, or my reason behind using the scoring tool first. So then we're just using the bone folder again so it'll lie flat for us. And then we've got our inside panel, which is shimmery white paper. And I didn't use this at Fall Flair. For those of you that are watching that attended Fall Flair, I used Whisper White. But I'm doing shimmery white on the video because I want to have it coordinate with the outside here. So there's not going to be too much for the inside. We're going to stamp the sentiment that says, wishing you a quick and complete recovery. So we're going to stamp that right here. And then we're going to take another stamp and just stamp a little floral piece here in the corner. And then we're going to, I don't think I brought an envelope over, or did I? I don't think I did. But the envelope is going to look like this. I didn't bring a fresh envelope to stamp, but I just put that little stamp on the outside of the envelope as well. And so now we're going to open it up, and we'll just put this on the inside panel of our card, which I'm going to use snail for that. And I have so many people ask me why I only put snail on the top. And it's just because there's really no reason to put it everywhere else. I think it looks more elegant if it's loose and flowing. I like that look. Anytime you get a really fancy card, typically it's more loose and flowing like that. So I consider my cards fancy. So that's why I like to do that. All right, so you've got the measurements for the outside of the card. Now let's go ahead and work on stamping some things. So I've got a scrap piece of shimmery white. And what we're going to do is do a little stamping. So we're going to use our distinctive image, and we're going to use our Gorgeous Grape. So this is our Gorgeous Grape ink. So I'm going to open it up like this. And then we're going to go ahead and make sure that we have it evenly inked, which I think we do. And then we can go ahead and just stamp this. Beautiful. And then we want to, let's see. Then we're going to cut that out. And because I did not want to do that on camera, because you're just going to take a paper snips, and I want that to dry a little bit. It lightens up as it dries. I did that in advance. So I stamped it on shimmery white, and I cut it out with my paper snips, and it's beautiful, as you can see. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the garden green again, and we're going to stamp the leaves. So I have a little 2 by 5 inch panel that we're going to stamp our leaves onto. And we're just going to stamp those so that they're facing the corner here. I think I already inked this. But we're going to stamp it down here so that our leaves are towards the bottom left corner. And there they are. And they're so pretty. They're so distinctive. Oh, goodness. All right, so then we're also going to stamp Get Well Soon over here in the right. So again, I'm going to use garden green ink up my Get Well Soon, and we're going to put this right over here. Just like so. Perfect. Then I'm going to take this little rose that we have, and we're going to add some dimensionals to the back. And we'll just put those on. So I've got about 3 of them here. Take off the peelies. But now, before we put that rose on, we need to prep a few things here. So what we're going to do first is put this Get Well panel onto some Highland Heather. So this is 2 1/4 by 5 inches, and it's a panel of Highland Heather. And we're just going to set this on with some snail. So I'm going to take the snail and add it, and then we're going to set this in. So I'm going to hold the corners and make sure that this corner and this corner are about even. Put that down and then everything looks nice. Give that a little press to burnish it in. And then we're going to take this shimmery white doily and we're going to cut it in half because we really don't need the whole thing since only about half of it actually shows. So we'll trim that up. And then what we're going to do is put this over here. And I'm going to flip that over and I'm just going to add some Scotch tape back here just to set it in place. Scotch tape is so handy. I have it very handy in my craft room. In fact, I even have it on one of these, oh, it's kind of dusty. I have it in one of these things. I don't know what it's called, but oh, it's a tape dispenser. That's what it is. I think I got this. Oh my gosh, I hate to say. I think I got this in 1989. So it's been around for a while. All right, so now we have this all prepped and we're ready to go ahead and put it on our card. So I'm going to do that with some multi-purpose liquid glue because, oh, maybe I won't. Depends if I can get it going here. I should have made sure that this was all started before the video, but we've got it. All right, so we got it all glued, ready to go. And I'm not going to worry about putting this down because I think the dimensionals on the back of the rose are going to hold this just fine. So we're going to set this so that the right, the bottom, and the left side are all about even. And that looks good. And then I just want to show you where I'm going to put the rose. We're going to put the rose about right like so. And bring it up a little higher. That shows the greenery a little bit. Just like this. And our card is complete. Isn't it beautiful? I just love it. And so there is the front and there is the inside. All right, so now let's go on to the third and final card that we are making today, which looks like this. And it's sending you healing vibes on the front. And then the inside says get well soon. So let's go ahead and create this card. And here we go. So we have some scrap paper. This is some scrap shimmery white. And then we've got some other papers here. We'll get to that in a minute. But let me start with the card base, which again is gorgeous grape. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And the inside panel is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So let's go ahead and do that first and get it out of the way. And we're going to stamp Get Well Soon with green ink, the garden green right here. Perfect. And then we're going to take that little twig thing and we'll stamp that in the lower left corner, just like that. And then we're going to put this on with some snail. And then we'll set this in. And that looks pretty good. Now, you might be wondering, why is it that I have the inside a different size than what you would normally guess? Normally, it would be a 4 by 5 1/4 inch panel on the inside. But you know what? When I'm cutting paper, I like to cut multiples. And because I was already cutting 3 3/4 by 5 inches for my outside panel, I just went ahead, and when I do this for my outside panel, I typically match it to my inside panel, especially if it's the same color, and it just makes it faster and easier for me. And so that's why I did it. And sometimes a wider border is really pretty because it shows off a little bit more of the color behind your panel. So kind of fun. So it looks like a lot of you really are enjoying this stamp set, this distinctive stamp set. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take this 3 3/4 inch panel by 5 inch, and we are going to run it through the Big Shot machine with the lovely floral. So I'm going to move some things out of the way and I'll grab the Big Shot machine. So I'm going to bring this into the picture here, and this is the lovely floral. Thanks again, Deb, for telling me the name of this. But this is from our annual catalog. Oh, and I've got the name right here on on the embossing folder because I know I forget it all the time. But what I'm going to do is take that shimmery white paper and we're going to set it in here. I think you can see how this is going here. And we want to set it more towards the top because the bottom is where we're going to be stamping our sentiment. So I'm just going to double check and make sure that I have this all right. I'm actually going to stand up so I can see what I'm doing a little better. And that looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do, because this is one of those textured impressions embossing folder, it's really super thick. You can probably see that. So you only need your Big Shot platform without the thin die adapter, and then you're going to put down your textured impressions embossing folder with your paper there on the inside, and then a cut plate over the top, and then we're just going to run it through. And here we go. Look at how gorgeous that is. Oh my gosh, and if only you could be in my office right now so you could see that shimmer in person. It's just gorgeous. All right, so let me get the Big Shot out of the way. And now let's do some stamping. So what we're going to stamp is Sending You Healing Vibes. So let me grab that. We're going to grab the garden green ink again. And we're going to stamp this down here in the bottom right corner. So I'm just going to set that there, and it looks perfect. Love it. Okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is grab that scrap paper that I had, which is scrap in shimmery white. And we are going to stamp our rose, our distinctive rose. And I like to, when I'm using stamps like this or any larger stamp, this is a block D. Anytime I have a block that's a little, that's the size D or larger, I like to take the ink pad and go like this. That helps me make sure that I'm inking it up evenly, and it just seems to work a little better. So then we can press this down. Perfect. And then we're going to grab the garden green ink that up, and just press that down. Also perfect. Love that. And then what you want to do is hand cut this with your paper snips. And because I know you don't want to watch me cutting, I did do this in advance again. So I have one here, and hopefully somewhere on this messy table I've got the other one. I thought I had the other one. Here it is. All right, so here's my other cutout. So what I want to do now is take this, and we're just going to set it in. Doesn't that just look beautiful? So we're just going to set that behind the floral image, and I'm going to set it in with Scotch tape. So there we go. Looks like this. Actually, I'm going to move that. I think it got moved. So let me just pull this away, because I want to set it so that the leaves sort of go along this flat edge here, and that looks good to me. Then we're going to flip it over and add some dimensionals. And it looks like several of you are watching or continuing to watch. Thank you so much. And be sure you're sharing this video if you don't mind. I won't do the drawing until Wednesday, so we have plenty of time for everybody to see it. And then I appreciate that so much. And then, of course, if you want to comment, tell us your opinion of this card. It's very pretty, I think. But then, anything that I take the time to make, I think is going to be pretty. I fall in love with my own creations. So there we go. We've got it all set up. I'll just press it into place. And now we are going to put this onto a panel of garden green. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to use some snail on the back here. And we'll set this in. And it looks so nice. There we go. Give that a press. And now it's time to add the ribbon. And this is what I'm going to give away. Yay! So let me grab I have a paper snips that I have marked with ribbon so that I don't, you know, accidentally use it on paper or anything. And then we're just going to fold this over and tape that down as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing and for your comments. I truly appreciate it. I will not be doing a Facebook Live now until a week from today. My dad is having some eye issues again. We thought we had gotten this a little bit under control, but now it looks like he needs to do some doctoring here in the city, so I'm going to be taking him to his appointments. And so I will not be doing, this will be my only Facebook Live for the week, but I will draw on Wednesday so that we will know who I can send these pretty cards to and the 2 yards of the gorgeous great mini striped ribbon. So I'm just doing a little tie on. How pretty is that? And this, I think, makes just a lovely accent on this card. There we go. Pretty. Now we can go ahead and just glue this into place. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving too. We had a wonderful Thanksgiving and had lots of company and family visiting, so we had a wonderful time. Now I just took the glue, added the glue to the back, and just centered it in, and the card is done. Isn't it beautiful? So thank you so much. Let me share with you all the cards that we did here. So we did this as our more complicated card, and we did this where you don't need a lot of tools. It's just basically a paper snips, and you just snip around your stamped images and then put it on with dimensionals to give it some lift. And then we did a really beautiful kind of masculine get well card that looks like this, where it's just simple stamping on envelopes, and then we use some washi tape for decoration. So that one goes here. So again, thank you so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate you. You guys have a great day. And just as a reminder, for those of you that do purchase Stampin' Up! Products, there's a sale right now, and today it's kits and stamps, and tomorrow it's going to be ink pads and tools. So thank you so much. I appreciate all the orders I've gotten so far, and look forward to sending out all those thank you cards with the additional orders that I know will be coming in over the next couple days. Have a great day. Bye-bye.